Hello everybody, welcome back. So a bit of a nice day for Bitcoin particularly. I'm assuming this is coming through. Just let me know if it is. And yeah, so like I said on that video this morning, I said, look, we are at a resistance. The resistance is weaker than the supports. And I know I say it all the time when we come down to low levels on Bitcoin dominance. I think I said it again on my video today. Even a broken clock is right twice a day, which I suppose is what's going on with me, saying it over and over and over and over again. But the Bitcoin dominance being so low does suggest that eventually, Bitcoin will start to outperform. Now, this is only one day. It's just one day. And we're at a resistance now for Bitcoin dominance. But from, was it last week or maybe the week before? I think it was last week. It was when I was lying around in bed, being all sick and sort of squinting onto my phone to see if I can make heads or tails of a market while suffering from whatever it was that that I'd picked up. And I made the decision that this chart was bending and turning this time. So rather than trying to catch a bounce or look at this as a reversal, just look at it as I suppose a rounded bottom with more potential upside than downside. And again, I like I say, speaking as a broken clock here, the worst thing that could happen at the end of a bull market is to be caught in altcoins that don't outperform Bitcoin if Bitcoin was to break out. And I'm not a moon boy that has particular targets for Bitcoin or anything like that. I think it's reasonable to assume a new all-time high this year. And I think it's kind of foolish to try and estimate where it could possibly go, for Bitcoin's price, and especially on a day like today where we're all looking at it and going, oh my God, yes, the prophecy is true, Bitcoin will reach 1 million, which I'm sure there's plenty of YouTubers out there saying that right now, raking up the views. Scraping them all up, and just saying ridiculous things, and realistically, what are we looking at? We're looking at what, a 10%, it's a 7.5-8% move, which is good, right? But then I suppose if you really want to think about it realistically, what the hell? If you really want to think about it realistically about what we're looking at here, so we are looking at a potential breakout, right? A real breakout. And again, it's just on a daily, and me, I like to look at things on a weekly. And again, this is just hopium. Don't get this tattooed to your forearm and then hunt me down. At the end of the year, when price targets haven't been hit. But we did do a very crude measure move, didn't we? And again, this is extremely crude. It's so crude that I'm not even going to try to measure it appropriately. But let's just say we've broken out here. So this breakout target, based upon this formation, roughly takes us into the $80,000 zone, which will be, hit in the next 5 minutes. No, obviously not. But you know what I mean. So we can do stuff like that, and we can go, oh, that's interesting. Everyone has got their own personal target, and I don't really want to start going on about what I think a personal target is, and I don't want to sound like a moon boy either, and I don't want to be taken out of context, and I don't want anyone to get too overexcited, but my targets for when the Bitcoin is finished is actually a little bit higher than I see some people's. I think the overall concept is that Bitcoin should reach over $100,000, right? Which, if you think about it, in terms of today's price action to where we're going to be, is only, and I say only, in terms of target, 82% from here, right? 82% from here, $100,000. If we move up, to the other very popular holy grail target is $120,000 for some reason. I think that's the stock to flow model or something like that. That's 120%, right, from where we are at this very moment, right? But if anyone was around at the last cycle, and I know this isn't the way to think about it, but if anyone was around at the last cycle and when things were really popping, right? Crypto was relatively, it wasn't brand new or anything, but it crept its way into the mainstream to a certain extent, It was. I mean, I was buying it little bits here and there for just it was not even for investment really. And then sort of 2017, I started just buying little bits of it. I had absolutely no idea that it would reach 20,000 at the end of that year, nor did I expect XRP to reach where it went. Coming from basically trading casually traditional markets, it was really my first taste of cryptocurrency. The late 2016 to the end of the bull market. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I'd seen what Bitcoin had done in the past, but I hadn't really thought about it, if that made sense. And altcoins were pretty much, they weren't anything really. There was a lot of them, but I didn't really think anything of it. And what I'm trying to get at here is that it blew my mind, right? It blew my mind. It took me off guard completely watching these moves, right? The XRP thing was, we'll leave that aside. But Bitcoin alone, I remember sitting down at it was a Christmas party, like a Christmas work do, right? And I was sitting down, and Bitcoin had already reached 10,000, and then I was sitting down. Someone said, "Oh, how's your Bitcoin going?" Sniggering, because no one really understood what was going on. It's something I'd occasionally talk about. I said, "Well, let's have a look, shall we?" Loaded it up, and it was marching its way to the $20,000. I was like, "Oh my god," because it had blown my mind that it had already got to 10,000, right? And then I hadn't even bothered looking at it properly, and it was approaching its $20,000 top, and I was just like, wow. Never mind what happened with XRP, that was even more unbelievable. And I was watching every time I loaded it up. I was like, oh my god! Because remember, I don't know if I must have mentioned it in the past, but I bought XRP when it was about 3 cents, and it was pretty much an underperformer, classic XRP style. And I have to say, there was quite a large period of time where I was significantly down on it. It wasn't as easy as trading it like this. You couldn't really trade it. There was no Binance back then when I bought it. Anyway, there was nothing like that. You couldn't really trade it. It wasn't the easiest thing to get hold of, in all fairness. And when I was watching that going up, I was, finally it started to go up. My overall target was just to double my money. Coming from a traditional perspective, that's a good return. And geez, honestly, to see it go. So what I'm trying to say is that my overall top target would be towards, or if not in, the $200,000 zone, and that's based upon previous experience of being pleasantly surprised and I suppose underestimating the power of it. And also, the nature of what makes a candle go green or red is a matter of market buying. Basically, it's not that let's just say $1 trillion went into the market. Obviously, that will make it move, but it's people who are unwilling to sell for the current value. People prepared to buy for more than it's going for. Creates a green candle. So if we go into a blue sky breakout, then what's 100% from here? We see 100% moves all the time. If I cast your mind back to before this area of the bull run, and I quote this area before, when Bitcoin did its rally from September to January. This is when Bitcoin dominance had a nice big move up and altcoins underperformed. And Bitcoin had already done pretty well. $10,000 was a hard area to break. We're looking at this on a weekly. We move all the way up to this level. Here's a 300% move over just a 3-month period. These things happen. Back down here, look, for someone who's been around trading cryptocurrency, especially Bitcoin, mostly from this period here. That's where I really started going back in hard and heavy. Obviously, when the bear market had finished and it was apparent that the bull market had begun, that was the time to get in. But for the majority of the time, Bitcoin struggles to get above and stay above 10,000. It was a real problem, all the way up to 14,000, all the way down to 6.5, back up again to 10,000, back down again, back up again, 10,000, back down again. Back up again, 12,000, back down again. And then before you know it, boom, all the way up. So that, you know, there's not a zone, there's not an area on this that we can mark off here which represents the $10,000 zone like it did, you know, previously. But when it comes to breakout zone, all-time highs offer blue sky breakouts, which basically means, well, you know, we can slice through price like a knife through hot butter, and this can easily take us into the $200,000 zone. Anyway, you guys are all Patreons. You know me. I'm not trying to sell you false promises, and I'm reluctant to and I wouldn't probably even say that on YouTube in general, because I know how it sounds, and it's not based on anything tangible. And it's just, you know, it'd just be for the sake of getting some views, which, you know, that I hate getting views. There's nothing worse than my YouTube channel being watched. But yeah, that's truly how I do feel about it. I think the $200,000 plus is not unlikely. Let's put it like that. But anyway, let's come back down to earth. Let's look at what's going on in this chart just very briefly. We're hit the top of the weekly Bollinger Band, and this could quite easily be it for now. Yeah, I know that's disappointing to hear, but that could be it. And what we would be looking for now would be maybe a return back down to either retest this downwards trend line, and again, it's downwards trend line, so it's not strong. We'd also like to see these moving averages cross above the accumulation zone, which is something that we really only just got very briefly before we were knocked back down. So again, this will add extra support. This will be very good for us. Crossing all above here, that's what we want, making these zones basically very strong supports, and over time hopefully we'll get all of these moving averages above this descending trend line, and then we can finally, you know, write this off and get rid of this, and forget about it and go on to new things and chart something out brand new. But for the moment, it's just one little breakout. That's all it is, and the dominance chart has come up to a potential resistance. So that in mind, you know, for those with the big balls, you might think, well, if this is at a resistance, shall I alternate from Bitcoin to altcoins? Well, it depends how big your balls are. I mean, this is an opportunity, I suppose, for some, but it's not one for me. And even though I do look at this and go, that's your resistance, that's where I would expect alts to rally from, and if I had a gun to my head right now, and someone said make a choice, which way is it going to go, I'd probably say, alright, we're going to get a rejection from here. Even if it's just a small one, we'll get one from here. Alts will rally from here, just if it's just a relief rally, a catch-up rally, if someone had a gun to my head. But me as a trader, no, I'm not willing to part with my Bitcoin, not quite yet. I would like to see an actual rejection first, and then I'd like to see how that transpires, if it goes into a downtrend, or if it's just a rejection and then we carry on and we break out. Because if we do break out from the 20 weekly, let's think about what we're looking at here. You know, this 20 weekly has been a rejection point of resistance since all the way back in February. Bang, bang, all the way down, all the way down. Finally, after the crash, we had a rally up, and bang, rejected, bang, rejected. So we come back up to it now. If we break out from here, if we do break out from here, then yeah, Bitcoin will be king for a little bit longer. And I know I mentioned it before, but the Dixie is pretty interesting as well. I'll go on to all your questions in a minute. But the Dixie is an interesting component to all of this, because the Dixie is in an uptrend still, and I know I touched on this on the video today, but it is still in an uptrend, right? Until the uptrend fizzles out, and everything I see on this chart, like everything, doesn't say that it wants to fizzle out yet. There's no bearish divergence on it. There's nothing negative about the dollar right at this very moment in time. Every time frame that I've looked at, from the weekly to the daily to the 4-hourly, even down to the hourly, still suggests that it's not showing signs of weakness, right? Now, one thing we could think about is, again, you'd have to look at this on an hourly, and even with an hourly, you know, it's not that easy. We do have at the moment, literally just at the moment, a potential lower high form, right? And so again, this is for the ones with the big balls who want to take larger risks. You could argue maybe potentially that the uptrend is finishing now, but we just don't have any clues that it actually has finished. It's not made a new high today, but on the daily so far, it seems okay to continue, right? And if it does continue, my targets of 95 and then maybe a little bit more are still valid. which again doesn't seem to be bothering Bitcoin at all. Bitcoin's rallied in the face of all of this, which is really, really good, because inevitably what will happen with the Dixie is that it will reach a rejection, and then it will go into a downtrend, and that, you know, will probably have much more of a positive reaction for Bitcoin. Bitcoin and crypto will rally hard at that point. But for the moment, like the combination of a Dixie going up and a Bitcoin breaking out on the same day, or you know, within the same few weeks, is pretty good. But when this finally finishes, this will be great. At the moment, I don't think it has finished, although there is a chance that this could be it. But again, every time frame that I look at, there's no signs of letting up. In fact, it just seems to want to continue. So, but that's okay, because it's not impacting Bitcoin negatively. Now, one thing on the Dixie, because again, it's not the easiest thing to trade. It's just an overall picture of dollar strength, you know, and you know, it's not the be all and end all, obviously. But when we can determine that this is over, dollar weakness will be when we start to close candles below 93.4, I would say, back into this zone. If we close daily candles back in this zone, then that's it. That is the rally officially over, and a downtrend should continue at that point. Where we get picked up is you know, it's up to us to determine that. But I think this is when the party really starts, when the Dixie closes daily candles below 93.4, and we can put our most bullish hats on for crypto and say, well, actually, you know, this is a downtrend now. We could go all the way back down to 90. We could even break down lower than that. But for what it's worth, all we really want is to see a downtrend, and a downtrend, even if it's just from 93 down to 91.5, that's fine by me. Right. So hopefully that's good for you. Oh, there's one last little look, a bit more hopium and bullish outlook for everybody. This is the total market cap. This is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin. Both of these are bullish. So if you're in alts or if you're in Bitcoin, you know, the party very much looks to be still on. Conversion baseline cross above the cloud, price action and GQ span above the cloud. Everything's looking good for this chart for a long-term continuation. And again, we've got the same read on total 2, which is excluding Bitcoin. So if you're in alts or if you're in Bitcoin or if you're in both, things look good. Things look good. So it does all look very good. You marry up all these charts together and you basically have a very bullish outlook on crypto in general. So everything. Yeah, so if we think about the Dixie rejecting at some point, maybe over the next couple of weeks, we think about the total market cap with and without Bitcoin, looks very good. Bitcoin breaking out, it's looking very good. So everything is looking very good, right? Everything is looking very good. Better for Bitcoin in the short term, definitely. But a potential rejection from the dominance chart now could offer some altcoin opportunities, even if it's just for, you know, a little catch-up trade. You know, maybe a 10% here or whatever, 20% there. Obviously, there's going to be outliers. Right, so let's get on to these questions. We've got a fair few of you today, which is nice to see. The last live it was a bit of a washout. You know, my Patreon members, I love you all, but and I appreciate, to be honest, when there's nothing to talk about and the market's looking dull, then yeah, I don't blame you if you're not tuning in. And obviously, you can watch whenever you like. So let's have a look. BTG and XRP. What's up with FET? Right, let's have a look at these things. BTG. I remember you loving BTG. We're going to look at things versus Bitcoin, right? I think this is where we should finally get some. We should always focus on these charts particularly, unless you have a preference otherwise. So could potentially be turning up. So a bit of a breakdown here. What the hell happened here? Go to a 5-minute chart. Right. Interesting. Interesting. Signs of life. It's a 24% move. It's quickly sold off on the 5-minute. Let's think about this thing rationally. Wicks tell a story. Wicks tell sell pressure. This has always been the case with this chart, hasn't it? MACD is turning up below the 0 point. The money flow index just piled in. It's piled in. So that would say to me that if we did continue up, even if it's just in the short term, with another one of these big moves, it would likely get sold off, like it always seems to do, right? So big move up, sell off. Ridiculous wicks. I just fail to understand this chart, to be honest with you. Let's have a look at the weekly. So desperately trying to remain above this cloud. Not the worst thing in the world if we broke down below it, and we're holding up quite nicely on the green 50 exponential on the weekly. So this, if anything, would be a support that you would hope that would get held, which is basically where we are right now. There's not much to it. So at 12,000 sats, pretty much where we are right now. Not much between it, but that all that is a support based upon the chart. What we see now, we do have an incoming death cross on the daily. And on the 4 hourly, how do we look here? So the 4 hourly death crossed here, and yeah, after this weird wick that we've had today, you'd like to see us hold on the 50 exponential. It's not in an uptrend, right? So what you'd be looking to do, if anything, here is to buy potentially at a weekly support and then hope for the best. Really, that's it. There isn't any more to it than that. But it is a weekly support. But on the shorter term time frames, it's not in an uptrend, which is unfortunate. We do have bullish divergence on the RSI on the 4 hourly, so maybe this is the turning point for it. And again, you know, coming down to what would be a potential support on the 4 hourly corresponds to the weekly support on the green 50 as well on both charts, about 12,000, 1,200 sats that would be. So I suppose you've got to be in it to win it. If you believe in it, if you want it, if you're willing to take the risk, which I guess with a chart that looks like this, it is kind of risky, but it's very wicky, and the volume's not too low. So maybe a bot could benefit you on this occasion, and make the most of these weird wicks. Really, yeah, a bot might actually be one way to play this. To be honest with you, if you think about the range, think about being at a support, and the support is relatively strong. Then yeah, maybe that's one way to play it. Otherwise, I think you know, it's still consolidating after this vibe, probably in an accumulation pattern. But again, it's a difficult one to read. It's so wicky. It's so difficult to really understand. Let's just zoom out massively. What was this one of the? Yeah, it was one of these things, wasn't it? So hopium is at this exact level basically, and that's all we have to go by, unfortunately. AI, come on, yes, AI crawling out of its death zone. Anyway, no one's really interested in that apart from me, and I don't blame you. It's a crap chart, but it looks like it's turning around. Right, XRP and FET. Let's have a look at these. And BTC, if that's okay with you. So breaking down a little bit here, below the 2,000 sat zone, which is unfortunate for it. It's a weekly chart. Okay, so this little tiny crease, this little green crease that you see here, is stage 1 of what could be a good move, but stage 3, 4, and 2, 3, and 4 is yet to be seen. So we've got a negative cross here, and no positive cross in sight. This is just a weekly, so it doesn't look particularly good on a weekly, I have to say. Okay, so we're back down to the 200 exponential on XRP. In fact, no, we've broken below it. Right. Okay, so that's no good. Unfortunately, that's no good to see. So so we can forget about this for now. This could just be just a nasty reaction from Bitcoin breaking out, to be honest with you. But it's no place to be, unfortunately. And yeah, looking pretty awful here versus on the 4 hourly chart as well. Look, at the end of the day, you know, this is in many ways what I was not warning, because I'm not like you know, I'm not trying to put myself out there as like somebody that called anything, because you know me, I'm always very open with the fact that it's about hedging risk. You know, when it comes to, you know, flipping from alts to Bitcoin, it's not that I'm saying you have to do this. This is the way it's going to be. It's just a matter of hedging against risk. And me making that larger Bitcoin position was, and I've done it many times, and it's not worked out. You know, I always underestimate altcoins, but this is always the fear that the sats get drained, and this is what appears to be happening for XRP right now. So we're broken down below major moving averages on the weekly and on the daily. The 4 hourly is being rejected on the 10 exponential, very bearish looking, and then we have to think, well, how far could it possibly go? RSI on the 4 hourly in the oversold zone, but it's not, doesn't mean anything really. So let's think about where this has and could potentially bounce from now. If we think about it, let's have a look. So this is always the major problem for it, 200 exponential, and since losing that, it's lost it quite dramatically. It's a big pullback there. It's a difficult one to call, to be honest with you, but I would be looking maybe at best this kind of area to be the ultimate low if we were to get down there. We've got breakout zone here, we've got a bit of a reaction here, we've got some supports, you know, and some more supports over here. So worst case scenario is that we do pull back all the way down to here. Other than that, this could just be an overreaction on the market as Bitcoin has basically broken out, draining the sats. And if we do have a positive reaction on Bitcoin dominance, as in like it gets rejected from here, this might just get pulled straight back up and then have one of those nice reactions, you know. But it doesn't look like a good chart to me right now. But you know me and XRP, you've got to be in it to win it. And XRP is, you know, it's a delicate beast, but there's nothing on this chart that is a redeeming factor right now. Just have to hope for this to get sucked back into the Bollinger Band now, or progressively break down to this zone here, where I would probably say this would be a decent area to buy, as just below 1800 sats. So yeah, unfortunate really, but there's nothing bullish about this chart versus sats. Bitcoin is outperforming it. Let's have a look at FET then, shall we? So I mean, I don't have a signals group, but I did take some profit on this along with a lot of my altcoins when I moved into Bitcoin. I still hold a lot of it. Don't get me wrong, but I did take some off the table on this one and put it into Bitcoin. So if you think about this, we are heading back down towards this zone, 1244 sats. Might catch a decent bounce from there. I think it's as easy as that. MACD is looking pretty bearish. There's nothing bullish on this in the short term. Again, you know, this could just be a death cross over here as well on the 4 hourly, so massively oversold though on the 4 hourly. Not that this again doesn't mean much. This is why I'm thinking that if we get a reaction from Bitcoin dominance, you know, a clear rejection from here, these will all get sucked back up into their daily Bollinger Bands and have like a relief bounce, and then we'll have to see where that goes. That's how Bollinger Bands work. You know, I always say don't buy things when they creep outside of Bollinger Bands. They are likely to get sucked back in. Well, the same as exactly the same thing would take place when it's gone below the Bollinger Band. You would expect it to get sucked back up with inside it, and maybe reach up to a previous moving average. So we could be moving up to 1500 sats, you know, if we get that reaction. But at the moment, yes, sats are being drained from FET once again. Now, where was it? Did we get this signal on the weekly? Yeah, we did, right? So. Long story short, we do have the conversion baseline signal here. Yeah, this is a hodl your position from here. So this is a long-term continuation from this level. So the weekly open and close would have been here. So more or less coming down to that level where the signal was generated, about 1200 sats. There's another coin, wasn't it, with 1200 sats? Seems to be a bit of a popular number at the moment. 1200 sat zone, which is also this support as well. So we'll be looking for maybe that to get tagged, or maybe front run it a little bit and have a decent reaction from there. Again, this is a long-term continuation vibe until proven otherwise, which would be when the Chiku span touches price or the blue crosses the red. We don't have either of those yet, so we've got to hope that will still remain. But again, you know, coming down, sats being drained from Bitcoin and the Bitcoin breakout. So let's not underestimate Bitcoin's power. But again, you know, when the reason I opened with that long monologue, as I always do, is that this is total market cap excluding Bitcoin. This is total market cap including Bitcoin. They both have very good setups on the weekly. They're both very positive charts. There's not much between them. You can see that this one's ever so slightly better than this one in the way that it's moved. This one is still pretty much exactly the same setup, just a little bit of a lagger. So, you know, if you feel like you're unwilling to, or you feel like you're stuck in altcoins, don't make any rash decisions. The charts of the overall market caps are both bullish and they're both almost exactly the same. It's just that it would appear that Bitcoin is moving first and that shouldn't really come as too much of a surprise, as the dominance chart has shown us in the past that this is, you know, potentially, whether you're in a bull market or a bear market, this is a very strong support where we've had a very, very large reaction. I'm not expecting this. I would be expecting less than that. It's a different market. The altcoin market is extremely strong, but if we did, for whatever reason, have a rotation from this enormous altcoin market, look, the altcoin market is 1.2 trillion, right? If we did start to get a rotation from this into Bitcoin, then my bull, you know, my moon boy targets will sound a lot more realistic, won't they? If you think about it, there's a lot of money in here. Never mind the money that's coming into both of these, you know, total and total market cap excluding Bitcoin. Let's just think about the money that's just in the altcoin market in general. If you imagine this going down, tipping out, you know, emptying itself into this chart here, then you know, we do have to think about this. And again, you know, it's always just about balancing the odds, and there's a lot of money in altcoins that could come out into Bitcoin, and this is what happened. This is what happened here, and it doesn't look much, but this is exactly what happened here. Yeah, this is October into September or into October, sorry. The Bitcoin breakout. It's not a big move on the chart, is it? But it was devastating for a small cap alts, and any altcoin really would, you'd be hard pressed to find one that outperformed Bitcoin just from here to here. So if you can imagine, and I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but if we think about the size of the move that we saw, let's just measure it from August, because we're talking September. 29% move on the Bitcoin dominance chart here. Let's just think about where this could take us. And again, this isn't anything to go by, but yeah, okay, 52% dominant. That would be my top target anyway, roughly thereabouts for Bitcoin dominance. 300% move for Bitcoin, and pretty much static for small caps, and some of them actually went down because, well, what's the point in holding on to, you know, crappy altcoins when there's a Bitcoin breakout? But then what happened after that? They all caught up and then some. So Bitcoin did a 300% move. Then when that was finished, altcoins basically did, you know, hundreds and thousands of percent moves. So it's not the end of the world if you didn't, you know, make this switch from altcoins to Bitcoin. It's not the end of the world at all. So don't feel upset that your altcoins are currently underperforming. As long as you're not holding on to an absolute pile of crap, basically, I'm sure it will be okay. And you've probably noticed anyway that your altcoin will have gone up anyway today, most likely, even if the sats have been drained. Right, so we've done that one. Doesn't look particularly good. Let's have a look at perp, I suppose you would call it. If we do come across anything that outperforms Bitcoin today versus, you know, on the Bitcoin charts, that's where we should get pretty excited. So, right, so we're looking at what am I doing here? Okay. So the weekly chart's not very old, and we've broken down below 20 weekly at the moment, but it's just a weekly on a very short time frame chart. So 4 hourly breaking down. Where did our death cross take place? Over here. Alright, let's think about this. It's difficult because it's so young. Alright, so we're bottom of the Bollinger Band, and this little line here, this smudge, is a 200 exponential, so this could offer a support. So, you know, like I said, we've got to think about what we're looking at with Bitcoin dominance, which is a potential area of resistance which might offer a relief rally. And that's all it really would be, I think, at this point now. Relief rally, this would be the area to get in for a potential relief rally. But we do have a short signal on the Ichimoku cloud, so negative cross here below the cloud, cheeky span below price action. That's a continuation of a downtrend there until proven otherwise. That has formed from yesterday, so that's a realistic that's potential downside, but this could be a bounce area here, but then continue down from here. Negative cross on the MACD, and we did have bearish divergence on the RSI moving up on the last two ticks here. So yeah, I'm not a massive fan. I have to say I'm not a massive fan, but if you wanted to try and catch a bounce here, that would be the obvious place. Below there, you're going to have to start thinking about areas of previous support, because again, there's nothing else to go by on a chart like this. And I'll be looking at just a little bit further down here, so we're talking 2,000 sats, a nice round figure for people to get their heads around. So if this breaks down, 2,000 sats could be the area for for the bottom, or at least a decent bounce from it. Again, there's nothing on this chart on the daily that no redeeming factors, unfortunately. And this is why I'm saying, I suppose, to we'll just get rid of this. This is why I'm saying, you know, let's not make any rash decisions, even though we're expecting, or I am expecting, if there was a gun to my head, we would have a rejection here. I'm not willing to take the risk on that one, because if we did get one, it might only be small. If we did break out, it would be a lot bigger. Risk to reward on the dominance chart. There's more upside than downside, in my opinion. There'd be more to lose if you were to get the decision wrong. You know, I say it quite a lot, I think, which is that the worst, not the worst, because again, you know, both total and total market cap, excluding Bitcoin, they're both bullish, and so everything should have its time in the sun. A healthy Bitcoin is a healthy market. But if you're looking to try and play a rotation, which is something I've been trying to do for ages, since the massive alt season where we rotated into altcoins, if you're looking to try and do a reverse rotation from altcoins to Bitcoin, you know, that it's always been part of my strategy, and it failed the first time, but this time it looks like it might be working. But again, it's very early days. It's only just one. It's just what I suppose this week has been pretty good. This month so far has been pretty good. Doesn't mean anything yet. You know, when a healthy Bitcoin is a healthy market, and I always say we shouldn't underestimate altcoins. But from what we see so far, it's just a reaction from the dominance breakout, and it doesn't surprise me. This is why I made that transition the other week into a larger Bitcoin position. But altcoins could quickly turn around. Once they gain momentum, they go crazy. We all know this. Hi CC, do you think XRP will be able to outperform Bitcoin this quarter? Both seem very bullish. Well, my overall view on XRP is that it will repeat its previous cycle. So we'll look at this on the trading view, so we can go on a larger. Which chart is it? Is it Bitstamp? I can't remember. Okay, yeah. So we go to Bitstamp, put it on the log scale, and we'll have to turn these Bollinger Bands off, won't we? Turn off the Bollinger Bands. See, I love this. I love this chart, but I mean, I absolutely love this indicator that was made by our Patreon, but I hate the way that log scale messes up these things. Right, so let's have a look. So what we've got here, this is the previous cycle. Again, this is 2014 all the way to 2017. We have a downwards trend like this, and then a breakout. This is what I'm again, yeah, dollar for dollar, pound for pound. It's way more aggressive previously because the market cap was way smaller. You see this with everything. The larger the market cap, the less the returns, yeah, usually. And so, yeah, this was the big fake out. It's not a fake out. I mean, it's pretty awesome, this move. And this, I suppose, you could equate to this kind of area over here. So let's just take this off the log scale now. So now what we're looking at here is another market cycle. So let's just think about what we see here. Big move up, consolidation for a period of 3 years, and then bull market top. And then what we see here is a consolidation for the best part of 3 years. Then we start to move up. We've not yet sort of really reached our full capacity. So whether it outperforms Bitcoin or not, it might not, to be honest with you. But if we think about it back up to its previous high, its absolute top, that's a 200% move. So a 200% move for Bitcoin right now from its current level is it's quite high, isn't it? We're talking about, sorry, just bear with me. We are talking from exactly where we are right now, 200% move. Come on. Okay, so we're talking $167,000 thereabouts. There's no real way to tell exactly. My first target for XRP would be about $4 or so. I'm very conservative where I think XRP could go. However, if we think about the fib extensions, each one of these is potentially an area where we could hit. So $4 is just a little bit higher than, you know, it's within this region here. But if we continue up, then each one of these is a realistic target. But we are talking about XRP, so we do have to we do have to entertain the idea that it might not be very good overall. It might be a crap chart indefinitely, and it may always be from this point forward crap, because the market cap's huge, right? But it does move aggressively when it wants to. We are still in a bullish portion of the overall chart here, and we do have every reason to have a breakout. And breakouts I don't think are going to be possible until we take out these kind of areas, $1.34 or thereabouts. But whether it outperforms Bitcoin, I don't know. Is it going to go on to make any all-time? I honestly don't know. This is what I mean. It's very difficult for me to give top targets, because I think they're unrealistic to do it. Take things level by level, but if we base it upon its previous market cycle, it's still following the same general vibe, which is 3 years down, and then a bullish move up, a large consolidation, and a blow off top. So 3 years down, accumulation, big move up. I suppose this was it's different, but yeah, big move up, breakdown to a large extent. It should end up doing the same thing, but it's not going to go up thousands of percent. We might be looking for XRP to maybe 5, and we're looking at the fib extensions. That's the only thing we can really think about when we're talking about where's it going to go from here. They're all realistic targets, let's face it. Once the all-time high is broken, then yeah, it wouldn't take much for it to suddenly double from there. That's how XRP does, but you've got to catch it, do you know what I mean, and not get too greedy on it. It could outperform Bitcoin. It might perform in the same way. It might underperform. I don't know. But what I don't know what to say to you, to be honest. It's how long is a piece of string? Algo to BTC and SHIB to USDT. Okay, let's have a look at these guys. I'm bullish on XRP. I always have been since it was clear that it had broken out of that downtrend and gone into accumulation. But I've said it the entire time. I made pretty much generally one trade or accumulated in that area, and I've never bought any since. And I'll sail it all the way up until the end of the market cycle, which could lead us to anywhere. Could lead us to anywhere. Start taking profit around $4, but could it go up to $20? It could. It definitely could. Again, it would be silly for me to say that's what it's going to do, because I don't know. But does it have a market cycle? Yeah. And is it repeating the same kind of vibe as the previous one? Yeah. And if we go on, time-wise, how's that going to end? It will end with a very large aggressive move, but we don't know where it will go. XRP likes to make very large moves each time it blows its top off, and it's blown its top off a few times already this year. Each time it did that, it was bigger than the previous one. So wherever it decides to blow its top off, I'd be expecting a 200% move from that level. So it does seem reasonable that $4 will be met. But whether that's outperforming Bitcoin, I don't know. So I'll go to BTC. So Sat's being drained again, just like everything else. Lower portion of the Bollinger Band. So pretty much like everything that we're seeing. So this might lend us, I suppose the more we look at these altcoins now versus Bitcoin, if you think about your average Bollinger Band strategy, just very simple Bollinger Band strategy, you would expect them to get sucked back up. So this might cause that pullback on the Bitcoin dominance chart, but for right now we're creeping down below the green 50 exponential on the daily there. But it's still a bullish chart. We're consolidating still. This is a consolidation after this big move. And again, if we zoom out, we see the grand picture, which is that algo can't really get too exciting until it breaks out of this zone. We've had trouble here since pretty much its inception. Up, down, up, down, up, down. But this time it has been slightly different. We were above the cloud up until I imagine today. 4 hourly below I suppose crucial areas. 200 exponentials, not a great place to be. Massively bearish. MACD there. But again, it's just a 4 hourly, so let's not get too upset about what we're looking at. There's nothing to say about it at the moment. It's still in a consolidation pattern, and I wouldn't really get too concerned until it breaks down below the 200 exponential, if it were to get down there at all. This green 50 and the purple simple 50 is where we're at right now, and we're just poking below the Bollinger Band. This again, with all other altcoins, could end up being a springboard. And this is slightly hopium, but it's also just basic Bollinger Band strategies. Just as you break out of them on the way up, you get sucked back in on the way down. So they don't like, nothing likes being outside of a Bollinger Band. So, you know, we can open and close candle bodies outside, but generally 95% of price action takes place within the Bollinger Band. So wherever this ends up being today, if this is the low, you know, a relief rally at least should take place. It's not a bearish chart, let's face it. It's not a bearish chart. It's very good, but this is a big move, and this is a consolidation which is still playing out. So let's just respect it for what it is. It is consolidation, unfortunately, still. And yeah, 10% down versus Bitcoin, so Bitcoin still remains king. And SHIB to USDT. So this has been a bit of a beast, hasn't it, today, and the last few days actually. My mates, they don't like doing what I say. What they do instead is they go on the back of meme coins, and then they turn around to me and go, "Ha! Look what I did today." And I'm like, yeah, fair enough. Okay, fair enough. So this is meme coin. So let's have a look at what's gone on the daily. So we're 97. That's pretty high. Highest it's ever been on the money flow index. For me, I would say I don't want to be in this anymore at this stage. Very, very high read on the money flow index. Not really sure exactly why this has done what it's done. But it's broken out from a significant area of support, resistance, and every day that's above here is good. I would be silly to say that it's not going to continue because of the nature of this coin. It is obviously memey and scammy, but I'm not going to dispute the fact that there's a lot of money to be made here and being made as we speak still. It's bullish, massively bullish on the 4 hourly, as you can see, moving up and getting held on the 7 simple moving average. This is the smallest moving average that I have on my charts. You often don't really see it. But when you do see it getting supported here, it's extremely bullish, but it's usually the last few stages of it going bull. Going into bull mode. You can see how it's ticked on it pretty much exactly on this bull market, sorry, on this bull run here. So first tag here, second tag, third tag, fourth tag on the 4 hourly. But I think, you know, I could make the point that we are on borrowed time here, as we've got bearish divergence forming on the RSI. So is this the last little piece of price action before it comes back down? It could be. It could be. I mean, it's you know, for what it's worth, very high on the money flow index on the daily, bearish divergence on the 4 hourly. We're being supported on the first opportunity to get back in on any kind of move here, which is the 7 simple. So this might be the last high before a long, well, not a long drawn out one, but a quite a hefty consolidation takes place. From wherever we hit, let's just say we hit the top of this Bollinger Band, make a brand new high to we'll just call it 2,600. There's so many zeros, it's difficult to imagine. And then maybe come back down to this major area of support. So that'd be a 40% pullback. It doesn't sound unlikely. I know it sounds dramatic, but you know, it's a lot. 3.77 billion 24-hour trading volume. If I were in this, you know, I would obviously want to take profit. But I can understand why people wouldn't, because they'd be looking at this and thinking, you know, this is Doji part 2. And they could be right. Do you know what I mean? They could easily be right. We could wake up tomorrow and we could hit this top over here. This could be where it goes. It's where charts begin to not mean anything, really, when you're talking about meme coins and why things move so aggressively. If money keeps going in, then the chart will keep going up, and we might be overextended. We've seen occasions, haven't we, in the past with altcoins where money flow index hits basically 99.9. You know, it can happen, and this could be one of those occasions. But me personally, I wouldn't want to stay in it just in case. I'd be like, right, let's be grateful for what we've made here, and I would be expecting, you know, to pull back maybe to the tune of 40%. But again, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie, TA on something like that, when it's reacting and moving like that, isn't, you know, it doesn't really work. Do you know what I mean? It's not really going to work. So it's going to keep going until it can't take it anymore, and then the pullback might be so significant that it'll bring it down to that level that was marked out there. But I mean, yeah, it's still bullish, but just be wary. Money flow index is very high on the daily, and there's various divergence on the 4-hourly. So I believe it's on borrowed time, but that's just mere TA on something that doesn't really respect TA. I don't think. Not while it's behaving like that. RSR to USDT, Ocean to BTC. Okay. Now, I haven't looked at this in a while, RSR. So let's have a look. So. Okay, so we've had a nice move and we come up to the 200. That's your obvious area of resistance. There has been a death cross, but a lot of the time death crosses don't play out that to that extent in a bull market. We are in a bull market, definitely. The momentum has shifted, I would say, at this stage. We've got the a bit of a downtrend here that's broken out, so I would imagine that this does break out from this level, but at the moment this is a resistance. We've got a MACD creeping up as well, so that's looking quite good. So again, you know, this is an actual resistance, but we could be turning around from here. Death cross, or we could just be just a silly, you know, it's nothing to really go by, to be honest with you. I would say that, yeah, we're looking at a bit of a breakout as well on the price action, and being stuck between a rock and hard places. Lots of support below us, major resistance just above us, and so yeah, this in my opinion is likely to break out sooner rather than later. Yeah, the 4-hourly's change of behaviour as well. We're above the 200 exponential being supported on here on this last tag, so it looks relatively positive. Doesn't look bad at all. It just needs to break through that area of resistance on the daily, and then it could start an actual proper decent uptrend actually on a daily, which is where the big moves are going to be made. Again, you know, we might be waiting for a prolonged period of time for that to happen, but it doesn't look too bad. Weekly got tagged on the 20 weekly, rejection on the 50 exponential. So again, rocking a hard place, and there's not really much going on this MACD. So it might be an entry point for, you know, a small hodl position, and you carry that, you know, for the duration of the bull market. It's not exactly the worst thing I've ever seen. It just it's a will it won't it kind of vibe. There's as much to risk as there is to reward in the moment. There's not going to be much price action until it either breaks out or breaks down, but it's basically going to be static until it makes its decision. And again, you know, unless Bitcoin breaks down phenomenally from here, a healthy Bitcoin is a healthy market, and the total market cap excluding Bitcoin is still bullish. And this isn't a crappy coin or anything like that. It's a decent one. It had a very decent run before. This is a nice big run up here, and we are in the, you know, above the center of this Bollinger Band, which again, Bollinger Band strategy would suggest that the odds are in its favor. I just think at the moment, as we're at resistance on weekly and daily, that we could just be sitting around here for a little bit of time, maybe come down a little bit further before we actually break out, and then the breakout should, you know, just based upon previous behavior, be a decent one. So yeah, I don't mind it for a hodl position. An Ocean to BTC. So Ocean's actually done alright, I've noticed today. It's one of the only altcoins that I added to my position, rather than selling and moving into Bitcoin. I took some off the table from FET and put into Ocean, but it's not that it was the best thing. It's just for some reason I can't give up on it. So Ocean to BTC, support here, back down to this level of support. Nice reaction, but at the moment, yeah, it's not the worst thing. It's kind of trending with Bitcoin to an extent. It's not got an uptrend against Bitcoin or anything like that, and it's also not very bullish versus Bitcoin on the daily. Let's have a look on the 4-hourly. So yeah, nothing particularly interesting about it on the 4-hourly either. So nice move. You can see that this is what I'm talking about with Bollinger Band strategy. If we break down below, it gets sucked back up within it. So there is the buyers are coming in for Ocean for some reason at this level. Ocean's been pretty much one of the if not the biggest underperformer of the last 12 months for me. I mean, it's up still from my overall entry point, but it is by far the worst performer of all my altcoins, maybe alongside, well, it's not exactly true. Actually, it is true. It is true, because at least I took profit on on EOS when it did its run. I've never taken profit on Ocean. I've only just added to the position. But looking at the 4 hourly here, death cross breaking down, still below the 50 exponential and the center of the Bollinger Band. So the 4 hourly doesn't look particularly good. Neither does the daily. But we are a very young coin. And if we look at the weekly, so yeah, major support here, major support here. Worst case scenario, we come down to test down to this level again, 1,000 sats. And for me, if that was the case, then I would part with some of my Bitcoin back into Ocean, because I think that this is actually going to work out one day. But based on the chart, it's not really. I mean, it's not really red or anything compared to other coins. I mean, it's down just a fraction of a percent, but that is the only thing that's got going for it, is that it's trended alongside Bitcoin and not actually been horrendous or terrible. But the chart itself isn't in a good position, so not on the daily, weekly or 4 hourly. So let's just take that for what it's worth. It's not looking bullish, but it's not been wrecked by Bitcoin like everything else seems to be. Everything seems to be wrecked by Bitcoin, but not Ocean for some reason. That's its only redeeming factor. And just like any chart, we take it by the 4 hourly and move up. We have to reclaim these zones. Ideally, we really do have to be above a 200 exponential for it to continue up. This has to be the foundation of any uptrend, and at the moment it's obviously going to prove to be a resistance until proven otherwise. So, like I say, knife catchers, you know, buy into it wherever you want. But is it in an uptrend? No, not yet. And if you're trading trends and momentum, then yeah, you want to be in an uptrend, unless you're desperate to catch a knife. And there is opportunity to catch knives. Like I say, if you look at the previous support, the 1,000 sats is the ultimate knife catcher's delight. We've seen a very good reaction when we come down to there. And if you're desperate to catch a knife on something like this is what you look for. Massive reaction, reaction. And if you're lucky, we could get a great reaction again from it now. Well, not now, but if we come down to that level, that could be the ultimate. But for now, nothing really about the chart, which is good, unfortunately. Other than it's not massively in the red in comparison to other altcoins. Right, thoughts on Flow USDT, please. That graph has a bit more history. Oh right, okay, I get it. Yeah, all right, Flow. Clear up some of this mess. So if anyone knows why SHIB is moving, please let me know. Right, so okay, so it's basically static today. So yeah, it's not very old chart versus a weekly. So we'll go to a daily to start with. We must have looked at this in the past because I've got a very crude trend line to which we look like we've bounced from today. So the open point, right? So that alongside with the 10 exponential, the 21 exponential as well, finding us a bounce here and a rejection on the green 50. So again, this is a rock and a hard place, definitely. MACD histogram's ticking up, but not above the 0 points, and not particularly bullish on its MACD presentation there. Bearish divergence on the 4 hourly, which is unfortunate, and money flow leaving, and MACD sort of, I suppose, heading towards the 0 point on a negative way. Again, you know, knife catcher, if you want to, there's a lot of support coming in at the opening price. What was that, $18? Is that is where it came in at, $18? There's a lot of interest at that level, and there's a lot of obvious reasons why that would be an area to pick it up from. Green 50 on the 4 hourly. Obviously the opening price when it started, the 10 exponential and the 21 all around the 18 zone. But again, that's for those knife catchers out there. It's in the bullish portion of the daily, so above the center of the Bollinger Band, but the Bollinger Band center is facing down. So this is one way you should always think about moving averages, right? It's nice to reclaim them, but if they're not horizontal or facing up, an uptrend is unlikely to continue. So what we'd want to see over the next few days is if we can remain above this zone here and see this go horizontal and start to move up, then that offers an uptrend of support, and a very strong one as well. So the center of the Bollinger Band is always going to be a strong level of support. Other moving averages often offer support as well. We all see that, you know, I talk about it all the time. But if the center of the Bollinger Band is still pointing down, it's still good to be above it, but we want it to be at least horizontal or facing up. Imagine them with little arrows pointing to where they want to go, and that's where the support will be the next day, and the next day, and the next day. It would be better for that to happen. So I would argue that if you were desperate to have it, you would buy here. It's a very obvious place to buy it from, and this could be, this could be the launch pad for the next big push for it. But I would probably wait a few more days for, first of all, the Bollinger Band to point up and cross above this level, this entry point level, which is here, $18.4, $18.14. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, it's a very young chart, but again, yeah, this if anywhere would be a very strong support, on the 4 hourly and the daily. Right, VRA. Okay, let's have a look at some of that classic action. So I made a video on this not too long ago. This is another one I'm quite heavily invested in. For what it's worth, I'm not massively. I don't want the Gate.io one. We want the Qcoin one. We don't want to overexpose ourselves to these sort of coins, because they are, they are shit coins at the end of the day. I know that might upset some of you guys. Well, not you lot, because you're Patreon members, but when I call these things shit coins, people go crazy. When I say shit coins, it's just because the risk to reward is enormous. So first tag, the 9,000 sat zone got tagged. That's what we were expecting, and I'd also now be looking for a breakout from this level. So we're coming down from that first push back up there. Things are looking okay, but it's in keeping with the consolidation after this move. So the pitchfork tool I've got going on here is actually working out pretty well. So it corresponds from our top here to our bottom here. We had a bit of a dancey vibe around here. We broke out to the 9,000 sat zone. The 9,000 sat zone was the top over here, so an obvious place for people who, because again, when we're looking at charts, people are trading charts, right? It was the obvious place to take profit, the 9,000 sat zone, and we've come up to that level again. But if we think about the pitchfork has an uptrend of support and resistance, and so I think it's only a matter of time before the $9,000 sat zone is broken, and we move up to the upper level. It doesn't look like it wants to do it immediately, but if there was a bounce to take place, it would take place pretty much now. So if we zoom a little closer, we can see what's going on here. The 21 exponential been tagged perfectly so far. That's bullish. They're all facing up, including the center of this Bollinger Band is still facing up as well. So I like the way that it looks, even though it looks like it's breaking down. I don't think it is. This is a consolidation or just a profit taking area. An obvious one, 9,000 sats, just like before and just like the previous top. Bitcoin breaking out is going to maybe drain some sats out of this one, but this one's bullish, let's face it, it's pretty bullish. For a Qcoin chart, it's trading at quite decent volume for Bitcoin here, so if this isn't the reaction that we're going to get from here, a bounce from this level, which is the 21 exponential, we've got the 20 moving average, the center of the Bollinger Band here, 7,300 sats, and maybe just these two down here, which is the lower area of the pitchfork, could get tagged. And again, if it did, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It'd still be a higher low, and it's only a matter of time, in my opinion, that it breaks out from the 9,000 sat zone and ends somewhere along this pitchfork, which again is an uptrend. So maybe we consolidate for a little bit of time now before it does that. So yeah, I mean, it's not immediately bullish, but a position in it would not be the worst place from where we've bounced from today. 4 hourly might suggest further down, so be prepared for further downside towards the bottom of this pitchfork. But it's still pretty bullish, and golden cross on the 4 hourly here suggests that we could catch areas of 7,200 sats. So what's that 7,200 on the daily? Is there anything around those levels? 7,200. Well, the center of the Bollinger Band is just a little bit higher than that. So yeah, I'm bullish on this on the long term, based upon the fix that we've got on it right now, and the fact that the daily looks so bullish, which it does. Does look very bullish still, and we're just having a reaction to Bitcoin breaking out, just like we're getting across the board for all altcoins. This is still way more bullish than a lot of the other altcoins that we've looked at versus Bitcoin, which some of them, like XRP for instance, look very sad and sorry for itself. At least VRA is in almost every way still a bullish looking chart. EOS and COTI, let's have a look. Okay, EOS. I dread to think what this is going to look like. Let's have a look. Oh, so it's not as bad as I thought, actually. We have broken down below this major level of support, which obviously is not a good place to be. Turning down below the 0 point there. But it is getting bought back up. From what I can see here on the 4 hourly, we'll probably have a decent reaction. I wouldn't say decent reaction, but not the worst reaction. So yeah, we got rejected 200 exponential, broke down, smashed down below all major moving averages and rejection on the 4 hourly. Again, this is versus Bitcoin, so it's not, let's think about what we're looking at here. Doesn't look very good versus Bitcoin, I have to say. So where can we go from here? Is there really anything below that? Is it just an overreaction potentially? It could just be an overreaction, but I'm not gonna fool you into thinking that this is bullish when it's not. Bitcoin is going to outperform this one until proven otherwise, really. The first unfortunate set of circumstances is that we broke down below this uptrend of support, and now we've broken down below this flat line of support, and we're below all major moving averages as well. So I can't say it any other way. Bitcoin is better. Bitcoin is better. But again, not that I'm trying to shill EOS or anything, but if we look at the tether pair, this is not the BNB pair, the tether pair, right? The only thing that we can go by on tether is that it needs to break $5.20 and stay above $5.20. Then we might start to see a turnaround. So if we think about this versus tether, then yeah, it's making some moves. It's making some attempts to get to where it needs to be. Is it going to this could be a turning point for it, in all fairness. So maybe it's unfair to look at everything versus Bitcoin, especially after what's happened today. But this could be the clues of a turning point. If we close a candle above this 200 exponential, that's good, and the RSI is up to this trend line, this resistance trend line. So if we break out from here, then yeah, we could break out from here, go above $5.20. We could push all the way up to $7.40. We could, but at the moment, we have to wait. We have to wait. I hold EOS, don't get me wrong. I sold a lot of it into Bitcoin the other week, because it was one of those laggers. So I did move quite a lot of it over, but I still hold, I don't know how many, but probably more than most. And so it's not like I'm trying to write it off here. Or I'm trying to sell it to myself, with hopium. This is what this chart suggests. A decent reaction on the center of the Bollinger Band, and we're poking up above the 200 exponential here. So if we close here and we get a breakout of the RSI, that should have the momentum to push it up above the $5.40 and $5.20. And every second that we're above $5.20 gives can give the bulls the nod to move all the way up to this next level of resistance, which is $7.40. So yeah, maybe we are looking at potentially a turning point. MACD turning up. We've got a very small but steady ticking of the histogram, so divergence on that MACD there. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but where would you rather be, Bitcoin or EOS? Well, maybe at this point, maybe you could gamble on EOS, to be honest with you. But overall, safety first, and I did sell my EOS to Bitcoin. So yeah. But yeah, well, in all fairness, that could be turning around. We'll wait for the candle body closure, and wait for a few more weeks. But yeah, if it gets above the $5.20 zone, and that would probably give it an RSI breakout, then maybe we could be looking all the way up to $7.40. So yeah, not too bad. Maybe we should not look at everything versus Bitcoin. All right, so COTI coming down to this level of support. From what I remember when we've looked at this in the past, this was the breakout zone. So the resistance, and then breakout. So we're coming back down to retest the breakout zone, and there's also a 50 exponential moving average, which has in the past shown some decent reactions here, some decent support. So that was an equivalent, wasn't it, move really, a big move up and a consolidation down to green 50. Golden cross still, this is all still in play, and we're breaking down to this level. So this could be the area that forms the bounce, right? Let's just quickly move over to dominance chart. Still pushing up. Okay. It's not over yet. You can only imagine what would happen if Bitcoin pulled back as well now, though, couldn't you? You can imagine what would happen to alts. So, you know, sats are being drained on the way up, they get drained on the way down. Insult to injury, really. But again, you know, it's not the end of the world. The market overall is healthy. We're just talking about a short-term thing. So this is what I'm, you know, I don't want anybody to make any silly rash decisions, and you know, whatever your strategy is, it should have been made prior to the moves, you know, and then you roll with the blows, you know, whether for better or for worse. But the reason I opened with that opening monologue to say this is altcoins, this is Bitcoin and altcoins, they're more or less the same chart. If Bitcoin moves first, so be it. If Bitcoin rallies 100 or 200% and alts just, you know, drag behind, so be it. The end result should be that altcoins will eventually catch up in an alt season. So don't be all upset or annoyed with yourself that you're in a larger altcoin position than a Bitcoin position just on the back of what's happened today. We are looking across the board for, you know, from just what we see here, you know, and other altcoins, you know, poking below the center of the, you know, below the bottom of the Bollinger Band and things like this. They all suggest a potential at least relief rally from those levels. This could be a bounce from a decent support. And Bitcoin dominance at a resistance. So, like I said, you know, if you're holding on to altcoins and you're thinking of moving into Bitcoin, obviously it's all your decision. I'm not here to tell you what to do. But you know, if, like I said, if someone had a gun to my head, it would appear that altcoins would likely have a small rally from here to you know, just based on everything we're seeing, you know. And so that's what I'd expect, you know, a bounce from here. But we're below the Bollinger Band center, so a bounce from here could take us up to the 21 exponential, which is 1071, or a little bit higher, 1115. So that could easily happen. But again, the chart doesn't look particularly good. We're just hoping for a bounce. That's all we're looking for. And yeah, there's nothing on the 4-hourly either that looks particularly good as well. So there's nothing about that looks good. So let's have a look versus Tether, just to be fair. I don't think I'll be able to do this for all the charts, otherwise we'll never get all these questions done, to be honest with you. So yeah, so 4-hourly trending below this is consolidation still, so trending below all major moving averages on the 4-hourly there, and on the daily catching a bounce above the center of the Bollinger Band. Okay, so yeah, there's on Tether and on Bitcoin pairing, it looks like a bounce could at least take place here if it's just a relief bounce, not a reversal, but at least just a relief bounce. Dominance chart, jeez man. Right, where were we? So we've done that. How do you see the Bitcoin dominance playing out over the next few months? So I suppose I just touched on it really, but Bitcoin rally first, followed by alts or something else. It is impossible to say, because I always underestimate altcoins these days. Yeah, sometimes it's very obvious to play, and I suppose in hindsight it looks more obvious. But we got into altcoins here because it's an obvious place, multi-year top. You know, breakdown. It was an obvious place, and just reversing, you know, just flipping that understanding of support and resistance. You know, we've got, you know, reaction here, reaction here, reaction here, reaction here. So we have to expect a potential decent reaction, even if it's just, you know, up to maybe here. I honestly think you know, that it's going to move further than where it is right now. For the rest of the year, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I would be surprised to see it break above 52.7%, this area here, which again has proven to be support central over here, and then obviously a breakdown here. I'd be surprised to see it get above there until a bear market kicks in. A bear market will certainly bring altcoins, you know, down on their knees, you know, and we will see Bitcoin dominance above 52% again easily. But in a bull market, if we manage to get to 52%, I would be surprised. But that would be the top for me. I can't imagine it breaking above 52.5%. So whether it does it immediately and does it over a few months, I don't know. I couldn't say. This is why I like to reflect on these other charts as well. You know, the total market cap and the total market cap excluding Bitcoin, because both of them are very bullish. And so, you know, unless you're wanting to play a rotation, which is, you know, trading Bitcoin to altcoins and altcoins to Bitcoin, it shouldn't really concern you. It's just for people like me that want to try and, feel a bit cleverer than I actually am, and trying to make the most of the market by alternating from alts to Bitcoin and Bitcoin to altcoins. It doesn't mean that doesn't mean anything really. It's just another way to try and get the most out of the market. But yeah, I think 52.2 52.5 sorry would be the absolute top on this. But I don't know how long it would take for it to get there, if it does it in one fell swoop, or if it, I don't know. I couldn't say. It's impossible to say. Take it level by level. But that would be the top. But the market in general looks bullish, and that's why I showed the the market cap excluding Bitcoin, alongside the market cap with Bitcoin. They both got the same setup. The market is bullish, so that's something we should take home. Right, Harmony won. Geez, I've got a lot of questions to get through. Harmony won. Let's have a look. Harmony won to Bitcoin. Right, where are we? Okay, so what is this? What are we drawing around here? That was pretty impressive. Right, so Harmony won. Coming down to a potential area of support versus Bitcoin. Fair enough. Consolidation still in play from the big move up. We'll go from candle bodies to what we're looking at here. And again, this is very crude. So that would suggest that we have broken out for bearish from this formation here. So it's not relevant anymore. So that's a breakdown from a consolidation. But if we don't bounce from here, then we go down lower. And if we look at the momentum, it does suggest potentially a little lower. Money flow index is perking up though, and the volume is not too low. So maybe we catch our bounce here again. This is an overreaction, I think, on the part of alts, but much of it is up in the air. Jesus, the 4 hourly doesn't look good either. Very, very, very sad looking and money flow index there. The money flow index is useless. Well, it's not useless, but it's not very good. It's really not very good at spotting lows. But if we think about what we see previously, so that was a bad call. That was a good call. That was a terrible call. Oh, it wasn't so bad. That was a bad call. That was a good call. It is a difficult one to say. But let's check the weekly. See what the relationship is on the weekly. So if anything, this was a positive cross here. Has that been negated? Let's check this. Alright, so that's formed on this candle. 26 periods behind. Yeah, so it's so hard to call this one in any way. But I'll be on the back foot looking for lower sats on this one, to potentially 272, the 257. What's that? 253. Yeah, I mean, it's broken down so far, and I remember this one, and this is a prime example of what can happen when Bitcoin breaks out. Remember the areas that we were talking about, October till January, when Bitcoin made its breakout. This is what can happen, unfortunately, to some of these coins. 78%, while Bitcoin was going up 300%. Yeah, obviously this is a Satoshi chart, so it makes it look worse than it is. But this is. I think I've used this as an example a few times. But this is the thing to be concerned about if Bitcoin breaks out and leaves and drains Sats. Harmony one was slightly different back down here, but it had a very big rally since the pandemic kicked in. Pandemic kicked in March here, consolidation and accumulation, and then massive uptrend, and then a breakdown from the uptrend, and then Bitcoin broke out and took the Sats with it. This is what can happen, and this is what I'm afraid of, really, when it comes to altcoins. I'm just afraid of that. This is why I've always, tried to drill home the dominance chart, not as a be-all and end-all, because look, at the end of the day, yeah, that was a sad time for it was a horrible time to deal with. But then, you know, at the end of the day, it all worked out okay. But if you wanted to make the most out of the market, you would have gone into a Bitcoin position, and then you would have alternated into an altcoin position, and you would have made the most of the market. But for those of you that didn't want to do that, or you know, were stuck in staking or got caught off guard, it still worked out okay, and the market is very bullish still. That's why I started with the comparison of total and total 2. But yeah, we might be looking at a negative and pretty poor reaction to Bitcoin's breakout here, and there's nothing particularly bullish about the chart in general, other than it's still continuing from this general uptrend. But look, up, down, up, potentially down to here. You've got to expect the worst. But is it going to die? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. There's nothing about any of these charts really versus Bitcoin that shows strength versus Bitcoin. Not so far. I mean, long term, this one's still showing strength. Every day we're above a 200 exponential. It's better than most. Let's face it. It's better than most charts. It's having a poor reaction right now to the Bitcoin breaking out. So sorry about that. But again, yeah, I don't want you to all make any silly decisions. I'm sure you don't, because you guys take trading seriously, and I'm sure that you think about everything that you do before you enter your trades. I'm pretty confident that that's what you do, and so listening to me, I suppose, is just you know, my interpretation of what's going on, and I'm looking at things versus Bitcoin. So you know, it's slightly unfair to do that, but again, you know, if we find something versus Bitcoin which is strong, then we can get very excited. Right, hot. This doesn't even have a Bitcoin chart anymore because it was trading so low. USDT. Right. Okay, fair enough. So first thing I notice on this one is the RSI breakout. So that's good to see. So that would suggest things are changing. MACD turning up as well. Things are changing. We're above all major moving averages as well. Again, this is tether pairing, so it's it's unfair for me to, you know, say that this is better than everything else, because it doesn't have a Bitcoin pairing. But if it did, it would be negative right now, because it's only 2.4% up, and Bitcoin's up 7. But in its relationship to the chart, that's a good sign, seeing an RSI breakout and being above all major moving averages. So that's pretty good. Let's just take it to a weekly. So the weekly, yeah, is above all major moving averages, just. Which would lend itself to further upside over time. Let's have a think. I mean, the MACD is not giving any clues away, which is unfortunate. The daily is looking the best so far, and the 4-hourly, yeah, we're trending above all major moving averages as well. And what do we have? Oh, it's not. I was going to say, yeah. Okay, so it's just in relationship to its moving averages, it's above all of them, and we may be receiving, if we can hold this price or above, a golden cross on the 4-hourly, which would not confirm. I mean, the uptrend is already in play, but it would strengthen the uptrend. It would just add some more strength to it. So yeah, I quite like it. Outside breakout, good position on the 4-hourly. Yeah, I quite like it actually. And we all know what Holochain can do when it gets going. It gets pretty exciting. So yeah, we'd be looking for moves on this one. I would look at this area here, roughly speaking, here to be the next turning point for it. So we've got resistances, supports, resistances, and that comes in at what is that? $1.2 cent, and breaking above there would then have probably a much bigger reaction at that point. So yeah, it's turning up, I think. I mean, we are golden crossed from back down here, so yeah, this is not too bad. It's all right. 1.2 cent next target, breaking above there, probably see some very big moves. Buy. Okay, let's have a look at buy. Right, so not very old, but it's not too young, so flat as a pancake really. Let's have a look at these moves. 0.2, so it's not that flat, is it really? It's just it's obviously been a lot higher than this in the past. Huge demise in price, huge breakdown in price. So not really sure why this is appealing, but we'll look at it all the same. So slow and steady turn up on the daily. Let's have a look at the weekly. What's the weekly say? So yeah, turning point perhaps on the weekly as well. So let's zoom in a little closer. Okay, so every day they're above the 20 weekly is a good day. Is there anything exciting about it though? Not really. 4 hourly, yeah, it needs to get above. I would wait for this not just to get above, because it's been above this in the past, but get above and form that golden cross on the 4 hourly just to show change of behaviour. It looks pretty sad at this very moment in time, so we could revisit this when we get a golden cross really, and that's when we could start to look at it. But until then, we can see that the 200 exponential can be pretty nasty. Bang, bang, and then we're back below it again. So this is slightly different, but we are turning down over here. There's nothing about this RSI that's in any way useful. So I would be inclined to wait on this one, considering it trades so low and it's such a poor looking chart. If you if you want to get in on something like this, and again, I mean, look at this, it's horrendous, really. It's horrendous. There's more risk involved in this one than reward, at this present moment in time. There's no reason to say that this is going to recover at all. This is something, I suppose, that if people haven't been around since the last bear market, there will be all kinds of altcoins that don't exist anymore because they died. And by dying, I mean that they were once something, something that was trading above $1 or $2. I used to mine a coin on my Raspberry Pi and some old computers called Magi, right? XVG, I think it was called. And at one point it was worth a couple of dollars. Do you know what I mean? I was like, well, this is good. I'm mining these from my Raspberry Pi. I'm getting about one a day. And I've been doing that for ages. And then the bear market kicked in. You couldn't really sell it. I mean, you could, but it wasn't available to sell on major exchanges. So I thought, I'll just keep mining it, It was worth $1. It was worth about, I think it was worth quite a few dollars at one point. I was like, this is great. Putting my Raspberry Pi to work. Well, anyway, you have a look at what's going on with it now. Nothing. Dead, and it's gone to the graveyard, like many altcoins have done as well. So there's no reason why something like this can't go to the graveyard. It could. So not everything returns to its previous all-time high. Some things die, and if something dies and isn't traded, it makes exchanges look bad. They delist it. Then where it goes to like Probit, and then it doesn't get traded on Probit. It dies, and then before you know it, no one's buying it, no one's selling it. Well, everyone wants to sell it, but nobody's buying it, and it's dead. So you do have to be worried, to be honest, sometimes. And this, I mean, just looking at it right now, I mean, this isn't even this isn't even paired with Bitcoin. This looks like a Bitcoin paired chart. Do you know what I mean? Where sats get drained over time. This is dollar pairing. This is a tether pairing, and it looks awful. It looks absolutely awful. So unless you know something I don't about this, maybe they'll, I don't know, Microsoft will use it or something, I don't know. Unless you know something that I don't, the chart says leave me the hell alone until I go into an official confirmed uptrend, and at the moment it is a downtrend, continuing downtrend. I'd leave that one a hell alone, to be honest. Let's have a look at XVG and StormX. That's cool. So these are worth keeping on your radar. XVG. Okay, so it's coming into this this zone now. So this is nice. Well, not nice to see for those who have it, but I mean, it offers entry points in this zone. Technically a buy zone, I would call it. So as low as 36 sats and as high as 43 sats. So we're coming into this buy zone. But until Bitcoin decides, or dominance, should I say, decides on one way or another, it would be, I'd say, I don't want to use the wrong one. I don't want to make sound like I suppose an idiot, but it might be. But it'd be a bit premature to start buying into it just because it's in the buy zone, because the lower you can get something like this, because it's such low sats, the better. If you could pick it up at 37 sats, that would be good. If it broke down even further and comes all the way down to 26 sats, that'd be great. Because we're talking Bitcoin here, we're talking about a Bitcoin pair. Let's just imagine that we came down to the lowest level of support, 26 sats, and then we had an uptrend that came up to just over here. Let's just say these supports over here, 170% move. That would be, back up to 70 sats, down from its previous low. When we get confirmation of a downtrend on Bitcoin dominance, that would be brilliant. Who knows what your Bitcoin would be worth at the time? Is your Bitcoin worth 60,000, 70, 80,000 before you made that switch from Bitcoin into XVG? And then what do? You double and almost triple your Bitcoin position that you put into XVG. So there's nothing about the chart right now which is bullish, obviously. We've got a divergence here. We're below all major moving averages, being rejected essentially all the way down on the 10 exponentials. Bearish. We're coming into a buy zone for those who really, really want some, but be prepared for it to come down to the lower area and maybe break down and come down to the absolute bottom, which would be 26 sats, which would be phenomenal. There's one thing, again, I'm not a fundamentals type person, but there's one thing about XVG that scares me, which is that it's a privacy coin, and as well as that, as good as that sounds, we're looking for I welcome the regulation of cryptocurrencies. I want to play this market for as long as possible. I like the gains that it provides. I love it, but privacy tokens, are they going to be frowned upon? Probably, yeah. And so it does concern me slightly that it might not go in the favour of something like that. And XVG, when you look at it, when you zoom out long enough, it's devastating. It's devastating. Absolutely devastating. And so yeah. And you know what could happen if it did break down below the lower level, which I'm not saying it will, but if it did break down below 26 and heads down into single-digit sats, Binance might delist it, because when things get lower and lower into their sats, the order books get blocked because the gains are so big with every tick that it becomes appealing, but it generally it doesn't move. So that's what happened with Holochain, and it could have happened with Doge if it didn't pick its ass up. So right, so yeah, where were we? StormX. So StormX, breaking down below the 66 sat zone, which was an important level, which is also the 10 exponential on the weekly there. So that's unfortunate to see. The next stop would be the green 50, which would be a 50 sat zone. That would be a knife catcher's delight. We could hope that we hold at this 59.60 sat zone, which is the 200 exponential. And again, if we did hold there, actually it's not quite there, is it? If we did hold there, then it would we've broken down below it. It's just lagging there. So all right, we need to reclaim that to avoid the death cross take place. And then this one could again, this could be one of those ones that drains its sats. And where could we be headed? Possibly 50 sats. I think it would be an area of significance. We've got some flat candles down here, so 50 sats could be for the knife catchers. Seems reasonable. Resistance breakout, supports around this form here, and maybe we could make our way down to 50 sats, which again on the weekly was the green 50 exponential. But for now, it's below where it should be. These are all resistances, and again, every moving average above us, including boxes of supports. I mean, resistances are all above us as well. So nothing bullish about it at the moment. Just further opportunity a little bit further down the line between 48 and 50 sats. Right. Bitcoin is going to drop to 49,000 again. Oh, is it? I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. 49. So you'll be talking the top of the accumulation zone here. Well, I can't rule it out, but as it stands right now, I would be surprised, but I can't rule it out. We're in the midst of a breakout, aren't we? So, it doesn't look likely that it would, but it could. The daily is still pretty bullish. The 4 hourly is also pretty bullish as well. So I like I say, it would be naive to say that it never would, and I'm sure there's lots of YouTubers on there that say it will never do it again. But this is a breakout right now, and yeah, we can pull back, but it is a actual breakout. And something I'll be looking at also, which again is going to be confirmed tonight if we close, this portion of the Ichimoku cloud is going to be green. It's only a small contrived green portion, but it's green. So this is another way that we play the Ichi cloud for a big move up, right? Green portion, cross, above cloud, and if we close this candle tonight with this over here turning green, that would suggest another big move on Bitcoin. Doesn't always play out, but that's what it means. That's the signal that you would play. You would play that signal. Now, like I say, don't remortgage your house, sell your kidneys because of a single signal. This isn't as powerful of a signal as the other way that we play the Ichimoku cloud, but it is one way to do it. 4 levels of confirmation will be confirmed tonight if this portion is green, which it probably will be. So 1, 2, 3, 4 levels of confirmation. That would suggest another big move up. And then we'd probably get a pullback from wherever that goes. So, 56 I think was my target earlier, 56, 57. So we're close to that now. We could be moving up to close to 60. So we're coming up to all these tops. This could be the level that it pushes us up to before the next pullback. So we call it 59,000, maybe on this next big push up. And then where do we go from there? We pull back. Do we pull back from here down to 49,000? What move would that be if that were to happen? 16% move could be another liquidity grab, like the one we expected when we came up to these levels, which kind of is what kind of happened, but that could easily happen. Yeah, we could be expecting that 16% drop. We see that sort of thing all the time. So maybe you could get a liquidity grab from this zone, but at the moment it's breaking out, and there is a signal forming to suggest a continuation of the breakout. But it's not a continuation of a trend. It just means next big stab move up. So yeah, but don't like I say, let's not underestimate the power of Bitcoin. It is turning around at the moment, and if we get a Dixie breakdown, it's going to add more weight to any kind of uptrend. Right, SXP. All right, let's have a look at that. Come on, SXP. Let's have a look at how we're faring against Bitcoin at the moment. So breaking down again. So from the center of the Bollinger Band pullback, bottom of the Bollinger Band is where we're at right now. Looking like we want to have a negative cross. Coming down to relatively oversold zones at some point soon. Major area of support, resistance, which proved to be resistance. This has been going on for quite a long period of time. This trend line. More or less its inception, breakdown from here, resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance, support, and a breakdown from below it. So yeah, I mean it doesn't look great for SXP. It doesn't look good on any time frame, unfortunately. The only thing we can hope for is be a relief bounce, like what we're suggesting, but also looking vulnerable at the moment. So. Yeah, this is like I say the main concern that I've had for ages. Like I say, I'm the broken clock that's been right twice now, because broken clocks are right twice a day. So finally, it's 12 o'clock, and I'm right. I'm not saying I called anything, so don't think I'm being all cocky or whatever, but it is something I've been worried about, and this is the reaction that concerned me. So, and we're getting it across the board. So for SXP specifically, breaking down from below here, in the past we've spent very little time below here, and it gets picked up at oversold zones. So that would be what we would be hoping for at best. Coming down to oversold zones. Let's have a look at reactions we've had down at these low levels. Let's move it to a daily. Again, this is like a little bit of hopium, if anything. We've been picked up at these levels in the past, so maybe we get picked up now. So it's not, you know, you could argue that there's not much between it, but yeah, a nice reaction here, So maybe we get a reaction here, which is at 4,300 sats. Maybe we get that reaction here, but you know, everything's open to interpretation at the moment. It's only one day, and the day is in favor of Bitcoin. So we have to wait and see what reaction we get from these. If it's just it's not fair to call it a dead cat bounce, because we're looking at things versus Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is the stronger asset. Death cross here, trending below all major moving averages, broke down below support, well, rejected at resistance really, hoping for a support here, and if not, then we break down here, then yeah, we go down a lot lower. This again was one of those coins which was really getting beaten up on the last Bitcoin breakout. So we're talking October to January really, aren't we? So October down to January, yeah, Bitcoin did its 300% rally. Let's be unfair, shall we? We'll measure it from the 1st of October to the 1st of January. 85% down, yeah, versus Bitcoin. There's one place to be, or there was one place to be for SXP, and it would have been Bitcoin in that period. Like I say, I'm reiterating my own, you know, worst fears, you know, for altcoins, and SXP unfortunately is one of those ones which can offer amazing opportunity when the time is right, but for the moment doesn't look particularly healthy versus Bitcoin. Go versus Bitcoin. Let's have a look at that. But don't, like I say, please don't get all upset and pissed off if you're in these positions. And you know, worst case is what we saw last time that Bitcoin dominance broke out and moved all the way up to a really good level of resistance. Let's just say worst case scenario, we move up to 52% dominance, and these altcoins do get trashed, maybe by 80% or so. Some of them, which you know, versus their Bitcoin pairing, they might go up. You know, you might still be making money, but you know, and again, I'm not expecting it to be the same as it was last time. But let's just say worst case scenario, you do have your sats drained in the short term, whether it's for 2 or 3 months or less. It has worked out much better in the long run, generally for most altcoins than Bitcoin, even if you just held on to that position. So it's for you to make your decision anyway of what you want to do and how you want to play it. Right, so this again is getting rejected from a major zone, the 200 exponential, the be all and end all, with a death cross here. So not looking great here on the daily, looking like it wants to turn down. What's this look like on the long term? Okay, so kind of negative cross at the moment. Again, the weekly hasn't closed yet. We're only Wednesday. We've got majority of the week to go. 61 sats. This is a low sat coin. Where, if anywhere, could we expect a bottom form? It's difficult to say, because you could argue this has been a drawn-out consolidation from the last move up, to which we're still consolidating from. And so, if we're going to put our bullish hats on, you would hope that that this is it looks a little bit like this, which means that we could be headed towards 40 sats, between 36, 40 sats kind of area. There's nothing bullish on the weekly, I have to say. 15% down versus Bitcoin today. On the daily, yeah, I mean it's breaking down from this, you know, this last stab of this consolidation you see here. So from the last big move up, you know, breakdown, yeah, rejection all the way. So nothing bullish on it versus Bitcoin. 4 hourly looking pretty sad as well, and it could easily get worse. So yeah, I can't spin it in any other light. We have to wait and see how this one reacts over the longer period, really, and maybe entertain the idea of a decent knife catch around maybe 35-40 sats. So yeah. Do you know how to avoid paying capital gains for crypto? No. No. I don't intend on avoiding or trying to avoid it at all. There's
somewhere down the line, right, you might be able to do it, but you can. There's ISAs built into stocks and shares platforms. You know, like the stocks and shares platform that I've been sort of shilling recently because I've been investing into stocks, right? If you not things like trading platforms like eToro and all this sort of stuff, Robinhood. I don't know about Robinhood because I don't think it's available in the UK, but they're all trading platforms. But investment platforms are different. You can buy stocks and hold them, and then when you cash them out, you put them into the ISA that's provided for an extra fee, like a $10.99 monthly fee, and you cash your profits into those, and you leave them there for a 12-month period, and by the end of the 12-month period, you cash them out from the ISA, and you don't need to pay capital gains. That's all built in. That's all built into to investment platforms. But crypto is not. There's nothing like that. It's the sort of thing that, from my understanding, will probably come somewhere down the line as crypto, or especially Bitcoin, gets absorbed into the system, into traditional markets. You know, like I say, just sucked into the system like any other commodity or anything like that. And I'm sure that it'll be available at some point down the line, but it's not now. So whether you're a hodler, for instance, you might have that facility somewhere down the line, but you don't have it now. And I hear people talk about it, but I'm pretty confident that you can't do it. But I can't say 100% guaranteed that is an accurate way of describing it. But I'm pretty sure you can't avoid capital gains. But then I would argue, why would you really? You know, I know no one wants to pay tax, but you know, when you're making such large gains, then what's the problem? what's the problem? I don't know what capital gains is where you live, but at the moment in the UK, I think it's 20% or so. It might go up a little bit, but it's not going to be massive. What's the big deal? There are countries. I think Hong Kong and Singapore, I think, where you don't pay capital gains on crypto, and Portugal. So maybe you could move there, stay there for a year, cash out, perhaps, maybe, I don't know. But in the UK and America and things, I'm pretty sure there's no way to avoid it. But it's no big deal. It's no big deal. I used to work in social services and the NHS and stuff like that. That's all funded by tax. They do good work, so long as they're not spending it on bullets. And they're putting it in bandages and nurses. I don't mind paying tax. You know what I mean? I like my country, and I'll pay. I'm not bothered. I know it's sad to see it go, but I don't care if it feeds some kids and mends some legs, some broken legs or whatever. It's fine. It's the nature of my society, so I'm not bothered. There's no way to avoid it at the moment, anyway. To my knowledge. Right, hi mate, let's have a look. Where will we go? Crypto. What's your prediction for BTC in terms of all-time high? Well, I kind of did sort of say at the beginning of the streams, but I think, without sounding like a bull, a mega bull, sort of moon boy idiot, I think 200,000 something could be achieved. Right, let's have a look at Luna. Let's have a look at Luna. Okay, so something that's so far better than most. So again, this could mark a top potentially. 9,400 sats. Bearish divergence on the RSI. That's not nice to see, unfortunately. But if we think about it in terms of chart structure, before this breakout took place, we have tagged green 50, moved up, tagged it again, moved up. We could very, very easily be coming down to tag that again. So we're talking 7,100 sats as of today, and then we could get a good reaction from there. The bearish divergence on the RSI would suggest that we probably will come down to tag there, and then we'll see what reaction we have from there. That's for a knife catcher. Do you believe in this uptrend? Do you believe in it? Do you believe in it? Do you want to part with your Bitcoin into this, or would you prefer to have this than Bitcoin? Overall, it's a great looking chart, and I like it. Level by level, we had this sort of thing going on before. We had bearish divergence across the board, top, breakdown, and then accumulation, massive breakout, top, bearish divergence, breakdown, perhaps, maybe. So look, I'm not going I'm not going to say that this is a great looking chart, but it's better than most. But there is warning signals that we've seen. Bearish divergence, previous behaviour shows that we did have a nasty breakdown. But it's better than a lot of the other charts that we've had, because it's still in an uptrend versus Bitcoin until further notice. 4 hourly, yeah. So this is where we could argue against that. So on the daily, we could comfortably come down further. On the 4 hourly, we are at a pivotal moment right this very moment in time. So the 200 exponential. So if we got a bounce from here, that'd be very bullish. If we broke down from here, we would have to wait and see what kind of reaction we get on the daily, and you'd hope for a decent reaction on the 50 exponential. We probably would get one, even if it was just another, just a bounce that failed to make a new high. So this could be the turning point where it actually turns down while Bitcoin takes the lead. But if you're playing the chart and you want to try and play a chart and trade it, you look at previous behavior. The previous behavior on this occasion is a bounce up, and then maybe a bounce. But because there's bearish divergence, and technically, I mean, yeah, technically there was a new all-time high 3 days ago. But is this going to be the time where it does break down from here? This would suggest that it could break down from here. But if you wanted to try it, then that's where it would be. You could run a stop loss on it, or you could. Yeah, but it's up to you. It's completely your call. It's not. Yeah, I suppose in terms of odds, it would be a 50-50 that it would have a decent bounce from here or a breakdown from here. We don't know how alts are going to react at the moment, and a lot of this will be. Oh dear, here we go. 45% dominance. Right, so yeah, this again, this is a weekly that we're concerned about this on a weekly basis. We'll see where we go tomorrow, but yeah, I mean, it's looking pretty good, isn't it here? Or, well, I say pretty. It depends on what side of the playing field you're on, but it's not looking particularly good for altcoins in the short term. Right, where were we? So Luna, yeah, we'll wait and see, but yeah, could catch a bounce on there, on that 50 exponential. ACC, curious on your short-term outlook on XLM and XMR. Recommendations on tax software and programs for crypto. So tax software, there's a link in the description below for something called coin tracking. That's what I use. And there's loads of them out there. There's tons of them. There's probably better ones than that. But the reason I use that is because I've done bot trading, and you can use coin tracking for free, depending on how many trades you want to do. But if you've used lots of trades, like I've had to do, then I had to go for the unlimited package. And this is the only software or platform that you could use where you can have unlimited trades. Most of them are capped. They're all capped. This is the only one that doesn't cap. It's unlimited one. It's one of the top 3. So if you pay with Bitcoin, it's a 5% off, and then if you use my link, you will get another 10% off. So that's what I use. Not necessarily the best one, but it's the one that I use because I use bot trading, and the top tier allows you to have unlimited trading amounts. But there's loads of them out there, but that's the one I use. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it works fine for me. XLM, let's have a look. It's the USDT. Okay, right, so it's lagger. It's an absolute lagger, I have to say, but we are above the 200 exponential at this very moment in time. So it's not the worst thing I've ever seen in the world. What's the price? 33, almost 34. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Weekly creeping above the all major moving averages, which is okay to see as well. Nothing really going on anything else. So what I would say is, in a healthy market, which we are looking at a healthy market, this isn't the worst entry point in the world for the long term, but you're thinking of short term, aren't you? So we're 7% up today. So that's not bad, actually. It's not bad. That's equal to Bitcoin, so that's not bad. Okay, it's looking pretty good on the 4 hourly. Incoming golden cross, or has it crossed already? This sometimes has a bit of a lag for moving averages, but yeah, it looks like an incoming golden cross forming here on on the 4 hourly. So I like it short term. I would be looking for this to retest, maybe not all the way down to 30, but if it did, it wouldn't be a problem. Wait for the golden cross to form and then diverge a little bit. But yeah, on the short term, it looks pretty good. I don't mind it at all, actually. And long may it continue. There's nothing I would say to be concerned about on this chart. I think it could push probably up to towards 40 in relatively, in relatively short-term time frames. So yeah, I think it's quite good. We are at the mercy of Bitcoin. If Bitcoin wants to pull back, so be it. But yeah, the chart on its own looks like it's brewing a decent move. Let's just quickly check the daily if there's any signals that I've missed. Well, we're below the cloud and things like that. So yeah, short term, probably a temporary top at the moment. A small consolidation and then probably a bigger push towards 40, maybe maybe in a couple of weeks. And XMR. So yeah, this is better. So avoided the death cross on the daily, lagged for versus Bitcoin today. But is that real? Let me just see if that moves. If it doesn't, then that's fine. Okay, so that is your golden cross. So this one is a better chart than XLM, ever so slightly. So the golden cross formed now. I'd look for a consolidation and pick this up on the next pullback. Golden crosses usually get dumped into a little harder, so we might be looking for what, 268 maybe, center of the Bollinger Band kind of vibe. So yeah, on the next larger pullback, this has a decent setup so far. Let's just go back to the daily. Actually, we'll check a 12-hourly in the intermediate. So incoming golden cross on the 12-hourly, plus it being above the cloud is good. Being above the cloud as well, which is good. So I think yeah, this one looking pretty good actually overall for an altcoin. It's not it's positioning itself at the moment for a potential uptrend. Uptrend's not confirmed, even though it's obviously going up. But yeah, it's getting into the position for a potential uptrend. Jammer, there is a quick toggle in the settings for your indicator for Bollinger Bands. Oh right, okay, cool, and so on. At least the latest version, I'm working on some small upgrades as well. I'll tell you what would be good. Can you stick on RSI? The other things that I actually have on there as well. So RSI, Money Flow Index, and MACD. Is that possible to put all of those in as well? Because that would be great. That way we could start using other things like, not that I use them much, but or ever really use them, but volume profiles. I can add all these other things on top of it as well. I don't know how easy it is for you to code these things. Hi CC, can you please look at OMG to tether? Yeah. OMG to tether. Oh, Binance futures. Do we want that? Or is it just standard Binance? Let's clear up some of this mess. Okay, so it's down for the day. It's okay, but that's okay to be down for the day after a breakout like that. First attempt to buy on the 10 exponential seems to be held up quite well, so that's fine. That's what you'd like to see. Not particularly overextended, so this could continue from what we see on the daily here. 4 hourly, so that would correspond to the pullback that we had to the 10 exponential. This has come down to the bottom of the Bollinger Band and the 50 exponential, so 14 basically $14. Slowly turning up on the histogram, although it is bearish. So standard knife catch would be to try and pick it up on moving averages, 10 exponential on the daily, 50 exponential on the 4 hourly, and if the 4 hourly gets a decent bounce, it will know because it will have a breakout of the RSI as well. I think the uptrend is probably still in play on this one. And again, we're looking at everything through the lens of a healthy Bitcoin. If Bitcoin wants to pull back, the market will also pull back. You might get better purchases, better buying orders, and so on. So if this fails here, then yeah, we're looking for a 21 exponential, which would be all the way down at around $12 or so. But the uptrend is still in play. Golden cross back down here. Everything's looking quite good there. So I'm all right with that to continue. Anyway, doesn't necessarily mean it'll continue from this exact level, but 4 hourly and daily still look quite good. and a well-deserved pullback is taking place, and could just quite easily go into a small accumulation and then continue. I'm alright with that one, to be honest with you. I'm alright with that. Just catching up on 2x speed. Would love to see what you think of AVAX and Sol. Yeah, let's have a look at those guys. So AVAX is bullish, so dare we try it versus Bitcoin? Whoa. All right. Okay. So maybe the run is over for the moment, but I'll be looking for this to get sucked up. Just as far as Bollinger Band strategy is concerned, but where would you rather be, Bitcoin or AVAX? For the moment, it's pretty clear Bitcoin would be the preference. 4 hours just going to make it look worse. Incoming death cross as well. So let's give it let's do it justice. We'll have a look at it versus Tether. So Tether could be getting picked up as we speak now, $60 perhaps, maybe. And if $60 fails, $53. But it's still bullish as far as the chart's concerned. The positioning on the chart is concerned. It's still bullish. Bearish divergence to the max on the RSI. So it is a wait and see. Knife catchers, delight. You can try it. Green 50 held quite well here. We had a nice big move up and a big pullback and a wick down to it, but essentially got picked up and continued the rally. So you could try it here. This might just be for a bounce, to be honest with you, rather than a continuation. But the overall picture so far, yeah, we're below the centre of the Bollinger Band, but 50 and 200, they're still diverging at the moment. Let's check the weekly. See where we are in relation to the weekly. So we're pretty bullish on the weekly, I would say. It's not an old chart, but for what it's worth, conversion baseline crossover here, above all major moving averages. This is 51, that is 39. What was the money flow index read? 90. So it was quite high. It was quite high. And so for what it's worth, we could be looking at a deeper pullback. But the grand picture is actually pretty bullish on this one anyway. But a consolidation or a pullback or a dump or whatever you want to call it will only be accentuated if Bitcoin does pull back. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't look awful. If anything, if you wanted it, you would try to catch knives and call bounces. But would it continue from here, or is this the uptrend over? Because of the bearish divergence, it adds more risk to it. So rather than buying the dip, which is what everyone always says, buy the dip. The dip you could be buying, but don't always expect the dip to continue and make new all-time highs immediately. Especially when you've got setups that look like this. I mean, yeah, it's an uptrend, but the uptrend has got a warning flag on it here and here. And what was the other one? Sol. Okay, so Sol is everybody's best friend, isn't it, at the moment? The most fashionable altcoin of late. So yeah, this is still okay from what I can see, and for what it's worth, it's still okay. So the consolidation, we broke out, we pushed to the top of the Bollinger Band. This is what I would imagine be the accumulation for the coin. We're above the centre of the Bollinger Band now. In fact, did we come down to tag it, or the 21? Yeah, we did. So it's still quite good where it is right now. So it's better than most, isn't it? Because it's above most bullish portions of a Bollinger Band there. So and again, it's down for the day, but that doesn't, we shouldn't write it off or anything like that. And the weekly is still very much a bullish looking chart. So we could be coming down to as low as 126 potentially, maybe worst case scenario, and get picked up from there. This is a very bullish chart. So 126. That would also correspond to basically just a wick below this green 50, so 130, 126, not much between it really. That could be possible, or it could basically remain above the Bollinger Band here and continue. So it's so far it's been one of the better charts that we've looked at. So big move up, consolidation, breakout, could go into accumulation. And it will be probably priming itself in the not too distant future for a further uptrend. Again, things are up in the air a little bit when Bitcoin does this. Right, also keep telling people to join the Patreon, like the video. You provide absolute honest analysis, always delivering value without any bias. Well, thank you for that. That's very nice to hear. I think that, you know, I do try and mention the Patreon on my videos recently, but yeah, I always feel like I've thrown up a little bit in my mouth when I try and push something on somebody. But as long as you guys feel like there's value, I suppose that puts a bit more confidence into, you know, the Patreon. I don't feel like I'm asking for much. £7.50 a month, you know. If you ever, do you know what? I looked at how much it would cost because I felt like treating myself, because I watch YouTube a lot. My kids watch YouTube. I felt like treating myself to YouTube Premium, £12 or £12.99 a month. So I'm not paying that. Oh my god, what a rip-off! What an absolute rip-off! God, you know, I'd struggle to pay £6 and feel okay with it. Right, dot to BTC. Dot to BTC. And we're almost done for the evening. It's been a big evening, hasn't it? And I suppose a little bit depressing, I suppose, for altcoins. But you know, it's the reason we hedge, isn't it? With the dominance chart. This is why it plays a vital role in our trading strategy. Okay, so at the moment on the daily tag of the 200 exponential. Normally, you know, in any normal circumstance, we'd say golden cross, wait for the dump. Well, I mean, we got one prematurely here. We got a breakout. We got a dump into the golden cross again, the 200 exponential. Let's hope that is it. We're still getting rejected on this downwards trend line of the RSI. This would be good actually, you know, in the way that it's positioned, because the RSI is quite low, down at 38. So if we do have a decent reaction from here, we could get an RSI breakout, basically giving us the power of momentum to not just make it back up to 7,600, but break out from there as well. So I'm still in favour of this chart, you know, generally speaking. It's not showing immediate signs of bullishness. There is an opportunity to catch that knife right there. That's unfortunate to see. So, but again, you know, it is what it is. It's, you know, that's a death cross versus Bitcoin. You know, these are the sort of things we should have expected further downside. You know, but yeah. So the 4 hourly doesn't look particularly good, but it doesn't mean that it's just oversold. It could easily turn around from here. It's oversold on the RSI, oversold on the money flow index as well, and it's only a little bit down for the day versus Bitcoin, so it's not the worst performer. I would be looking at this as a potential area to maybe try and catch a knife, just in case we do have a decent bounce from here. And again, you know, just to bring us back to this chart here, the Bitcoin dominance chart, we are at this very moment now above the 200 exponential, but tomorrow's another day. And alts might have that bounce, you know, that we're looking at across the board. There is an opportunity for pretty much most altcoins to at least bounce, not recover in full, not outperform Bitcoin, but bounce. And you know, some bounces will be more aggressive than others. But that's speculation, you know. That's just based on, you know, we see these things like this, for instance, coming down to a very strong area of support. Most other altcoins we've seen being dragged below the Bollinger Band should have at least a bit of a springboard back up to its first level of resistance. You know, they're all technically still in downtrends versus Bitcoin, and those downtrends could easily continue. But you know, like with every downtrend, you know, there's relief rallies, just like with every uptrend, there's consolidation. So we could be looking at that, you know, starting right now. Yeah, that could be starting as we speak. And tomorrow we'll be looking at all these Satoshi pairs in the green. The operative word being could. I'm not saying will. Do you think Bitcoin will have its ETF soon? I don't know. I mean, possibly. No reason why it wouldn't. But I mean, it's been turned down every time. I think like I say, I think Bitcoin, just like everything else, is going to get absorbed into the system. Well, especially with all the institutions sucking it up, they're going to want to try and avoid capital gains tax, just like our friend was talking a moment ago. We all want to avoid it as best we can, but it's not available for crypto right now. But the more it gets absorbed into the overall traditional markets, you know, the way that it works, the more likely that ETFs and other facilities will be made available for Bitcoin. So it could. Any good Bitsgap ideas? Well, I mean, it depends. Like I say, we can anticipate lows, can't we? And this is all you need to do for a grid bot. You can anticipate lows. But me personally, I've held off for the moment, and I'll be interested in setting up some when we get an idea of where Bitcoin's headed to. Because before I start, dividing my Bitcoin up into bots or even swapping it for altcoins, I need to be sure that there's going to be uptrends form on some of these charts. And what we're looking at now, generally, when we're looking at all of these, majority of what we looked at today was Bitcoin pairs, and that's not for any other reason than to hit home that that Bitcoin is going to outperform altcoins, at least in the immediate term, obviously, maybe for a little bit longer. And so that's no place to set bots up, unfortunately, unless you can find something that is definitely uptrending or going sideways. At the moment, I would rather wait and see, even if it's just for the rest of this week into next week, how alts are going to perform. And just like any chart, we need to make sure that we're in an uptrend or we're not bearish, because otherwise all you'll be doing was be swapping your Bitcoin for an altcoin that's going to underperform and basically making a bad trade. But also, like, in the grand scheme of things, it all depends on your grid range, right? Let's have a look at just an example. What XVG is a contender for a grid bot for me. I would be interested in this as a grid bot. Probably same with StormX as well. Low sat Bitcoin pairs. So if we think about this in terms of a grid, where would our grid be if we wanted to be safe? Well, considering I always expect the worst. I would think about my grid being as low as here, 25 sats, and I would be thinking about maybe my 200 exponential. Maybe that's a bit high, but you could always have a trailing up feature, I suppose. So that's 100% range from there to there. So what would you be looking to gain in a bot like this? If it remained within this area, you'd only be using 50% of your overall investment to make a grid bot, which isn't bad. Worst case scenario, or I suppose it's not worst case scenario, is best case scenario, is that it actually does come all the way down, chopping away in between, making buys and sells in between. So anything that we look at is a bot opportunity. But what would be a better opportunity for a bot would be to, rather than set one up on the way down, you set one up on the way up. So let's just say we find a bottom based on Bitcoin dominance rejection and on tangible support. So maybe we come down to 37 and then we find a nice reaction and we get a slow and steady uptrend on this, sideways and up. That would be much better than trying to set a bot up on the way down. Look at this. If we came down to have for example, we spent a bit of time in this area down here and broke down from it, came down here. Okay, there was some funny reactions here. This is where we start to consider bots again. For something like this, up, down, higher, low, higher, high, back down to support, higher, high, back down to support. This is great bot opportunity. And then when we start to break out, you can keep your bot on if you want to. Don't get too greedy. Bots aren't great for breakouts, but they're worse for breakdowns. So long story short, if you want to have a large grid that would accommodate the worst case scenarios, then bots will be fine in the long run. But if you wanted to make the most of what you have, which is if you're doing a Bitcoin pairing bot, then you wait for your Bitcoin to reach its top and for the altcoin pairing to reach its bottom, and then you wait for a range to be established. Don't try and catch a knife or anything like that. So I would hold off on setting up bots with Bitcoin pairings unless you have found a range which is seems strong enough. At the moment, it looks like the only direction is down for the moment. We'll have to wait and see. Good evening all. I'm wondering when a good entry for BTC would be. I haven't got much as I'd like. Well, I can't really say, to be honest with you. It's not for me to say. I can't say. It's not. You're gonna have to make that decision yourself. Well, me personally, I wouldn't be buying any more Bitcoin at this level. Not to say that I don't expect it to go up, it's just that we're breaking out. Do you know what I mean? The areas to be buying Bitcoin would be in the accumulation zone. All of this area would have been to buy the Bitcoin. This was my last entry. I know it seems, like I'm trying to say I'm ace and I'm amazing, but it was. If you've watched my channel, we've had all this laid out, and these are my buy orders. Bought on the way down, failed, succeeded, but then in the overall grand picture, each one of them has now succeeded. That's how you, I suppose, play. That's how you do it. Buying into an uptrend is called FOMO and can often end in tears. I'm not saying that it would, so it's for you to make the call on that one, I'm afraid. I wouldn't be buying anymore now. The last time I bought Bitcoin was not really to buy Bitcoin, it was just to shed my alts, which I felt was the appropriate thing to do, and very smug and pleased with myself today that I did do that. But it wasn't because I wanted more Bitcoin because I wanted more Bitcoin. It's that I saw, or I felt like I saw what was going to happen, which appears to be what's happening right now, which is that sats are going to get drained as Bitcoin makes a breakout. Something that is often very poorly received on my YouTube channel when I talk about it, like, but altcoins, and I'm like, yeah, of course, altcoins are great, but there's always one thing that I'd always try to show people, which I don't think any of these are a good example, but if you ever zoom out of any altcoin chart versus Bitcoin, they basically are all the way down, aren't they? They're just, I've done it. I show it all the time. XRP is a great example, but pretty much every altcoin looks like this, really, and they all basically show the big picture, which is that Bitcoin is always the better place to be in the long term because risk to reward, it works out better. Where would you rather be? Bitcoin. It doesn't mean that altcoins don't offer amazing opportunities. They do, but anyway, it's up to you to make the call of where and when you buy your Bitcoin. But me personally, it's all been bought, and I don't feel like buying any more right now. But that doesn't mean that it can't go on to make new all-time highs. I believe it will. But yeah, I think the time has passed for me to recommend buying any. Right, so we've gone over. So that's the longest live stream I've done in a long time. So thanks for sticking with me. Things are getting interesting. Like I say, if you, I wouldn't call it stuck, but if you're in altcoins right now and you're looking at your sats getting drained, don't worry too much. Reflect on the total market cap, excluding Bitcoin, which is a bullish chart, and the market. It's dictated by Bitcoin's health, and so what we should be looking at really, if there's a silver lining, is that Bitcoin is breaking out. Bitcoin's healthy again. Bitcoin dictates the market's health, and whether you're in an altcoin which is going down versus Bitcoin, and you're like, oh, I've missed it, I should have, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. There's nothing worse than looking back and then panicking and making the wrong decisions and stuff like that. Focus on your tether pairing, focus on the long term. Things look good for the market in general, whether you're in or out of Bitcoin, or you haven't got enough, or it doesn't really matter, as long as you're not in an absolute pile of crap, which there are some of those around. So long as you're not in an absolute pile of crap, it's just a matter of perseverance. Let Bitcoin do its thing. And I still hold plenty of altcoins, don't worry. So I'm looking at some of these charts that are, like FET and Algo and XRP. I'm in all of those. I'm in EOS, I'm in Ocean, I'm in VRA. There's loads of things that I'm in, and I'm looking at their stats and I'm going, if only I'd sold absolutely everything to Bitcoin, I'd be perfectly up right now. It's not feasible. It's not part of my trading plan to do that. That's just madness. But yeah, don't get too disheartened to see the sats drain. No one is the perfect trader. You hedge against the risk, which is, like I say, what I did a week or two ago, of a potential sats being drained situation. But I'm not all out of altcoins. I think roughly speaking, 60% Bitcoin, 30% altcoins, and 10% fiat and tether. That's my setup. So yeah, 30% of my portfolio is going down. 10% of my portfolio isn't moving at all, and 60% is generally outperforming everything else. So that's good, that's fine. And like I say, don't get too disheartened if you didn't make the switch. It's a difficult thing to do sometimes, to play the dominance chart. And like I say, I've failed on it a few times. But you can't Can't win every single time, but this time round it seems to have worked. Will it continue? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see over the next few days what reaction alts have. I think, gun to my head, that alts will have a good day tomorrow, provided Bitcoin doesn't dump. They'll have a good day tomorrow, but will they go on to make uptrends? I don't think so. I think we're going to be looking at Bitcoin outperforming altcoins for at least the short term. Right, I'll leave it with you there. My voice is going. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see you on Saturday. Take it easy.